All right. Welcome again, everybody, to the Your Future Now series. We're very excited to have everybody here with us this evening. So this evening, we're talking about stable accounts and saving for the future. We're very excited to have Elena Bowers from Stable Accounts here with us. So welcome. So the floor is yours. And again, we are recording this session and we will have questions at the end of the session. So if you think of a question during the presentation, throw it in the chat, or at the end, we'll have folks unmute so that way they can ask those questions then.
All right, sounds good. I'm gonna re-share my screen. Hopefully this works. Okay, yes. Awesome. Okay, perfect. So my name's Elena. I'm with the Stable Account team in the Ohio Chargers office. I joined the team in January, but I've been with the office for about almost 6 years now. The Stable Account program has been around for 7 years. We just celebrated our 7-year anniversary this summer. So we'll talk a little bit about the history. But ever since I joined the office, I wanted to work on Stable. So it's been a very busy 10 months, very rewarding 10 months, and I'm really excited to be here. So we've been able to engage and do re-engagements and trainings and connection with families with over 30 county board of DDs this year so far, and that's been a great reception. A lot of in person with families. I think the most successful education and opportunity we can ever do is when we're actually meeting the families and individuals and telling them about our program. But of course, we always are proud of our partners and organizations in the state that love our program as well and are advocates for the program as well. So all the county board of DDs do such a great job at talking about this program. But for things like this, I think this is a great, first interaction with families. So really tonight is just about learning about our program. Usually when I'm in a big room, I like to kind of do the show of hands of who's heard of Stable Account, who has a Stable Account. But in general, we're just going to talk about the program, the impact the program has on families, the enrollment process, the eligibility process, and then of course the spending and management of your Stable Account funds. So if you do have any questions, hopefully all the big piece questions that you might have, I will hopefully get through the slideshow. But anything that you have at the end, please feel free to ask. And then everyone has my email address. Hopefully I can also email out this slide deck. And then our website has our PDFs, which are flyers in the PDF form as well. But if you have any additional questions or questions you might have more specific to your family, even the ones that might not be on tonight or watching this at a later time, you can always reach out to me and I can get you in contact with with me. I can help with any questions you have that are more about your family situation. So feel free to reach out. I'll have my contact information at the end of the slide deck as well. So we'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so a little bit about the story of Stable Accounts. We launched in June of 2016, and that was all because of the 2014 ABLE Act passing. So that is the Achieving a Better Life Experience Act, and that was all made possible. It took over 10 years for it to pass. And get recognition throughout the country, all because of families and individuals and stakeholders and organizations that were part of the disability community. So the reason that Stable ABLE accounts passed, the ABLE Act passed, is because prior to 2014, if you were receiving benefits such as SSI or Medicaid, there was a cap. There currently is still a cap, but you were not allowed to save or have any money or assets over $2,000 to your name at any time. So that obviously allowed and kind of was a eye-opening experience for a lot of families to really think about long-term savings and plans for their loved one and also for the individuals themselves. So it took over 10 years, but the ABLE Act was able to be passed. And that allowed for the Stable Account to exist. So currently there are 47 ABLE programs across the country. There are I think there's 45 states that have ABLE programs, there's 47 programs, but some states have partnerships. But we were the first state to launch an ABLE program and we called it Stable. So kind of early on in this presentation, you're going to see the word ABLE a lot, and that has to do with the ABLE Act. This is a picture of Jenny. She is one of our first ever stable account holders in the country to open an account. And she also is part of our advisory board. So she sits on the board. She's been part of countless legislative efforts and is just a champion in the community. She works at the Franklin County. So she is a proud account holder. So just a little bit about the story of how this all came to be. Kind of going back to what ABLE is, as I mentioned, it stands for the Achieving a Better Life Experience. And that allows individuals to save and invest their money into an ABLE account, into a stable account, without losing their eligibility for means-tested benefits such as SSI and Medicaid. So prior to 2014, if you were on SSI and if you were on Medicaid, you were not allowed to have over $2,000 to your name. The ABLE Act now allows you to open an ABLE account or a stable account, and you can save up to, we'll talk about it, up to a lot more money than $2,000 on an annual basis. Because we were the first state, we thankfully are able to really be part of a lot of those legislative conversations. We work closely with other states on what they're doing for outreach. And we actually are proud to have a partner state model. So we have 11 partner states that we have worked with over the years. And it's impressive and incredible that there's 47 ABLE programs across the country that are doing the same type of work that our office is doing as well. So ABLE accounts, stable accounts, are very similar to these three different products. The 529 College Savings Plan is obviously something that a lot of families are aware of. That is a savings and investment program that you can put money into, and that is used exclusively for educational purposes. What's great about this program is that if a family has a 529 College Savings Plan for their loved one, and down the road, they feel that education is not the best fit for them and they're eligible for a stable account, they can actually roll over those funds right into a stable account. Very similar also to a checking account, meaning that you can deposit money into the account, you can take money out of the account and use it on expenses. And then the third product that a lot of families are aware of, our program works great with these, are special needs trusts. So those are obviously designed and created through a private attorney group. There's some great ones in the state of Ohio, different rules surrounding the creation of special needs trust and the management of special needs trust. But these three products are very similar to what an ABLE account is. So the biggest benefits of ABLE accounts, of course, that we've seen is just the ownership. The ABLE Act was not able to be passed if it wasn't for the individuals that were in the disability community that wanted to make a change. They were out in the community, they were working, they were also on benefits, and they wanted to be able to save and invest their money just like everyone else could. So the fact that this was passed is incredible to see, but it's also so inspiring to see so many account holders be in the community and working and having a purpose and being able to save for short-term and long-term savings. It gives them that financial independence as well. Also gives families that assurance that if they open an account for their loved one when they're 16 years old, and by the time that they're 26, the money in that account is protected, that they won't lose their benefits, and it's something that they can, take out of when they need to spend it on qualified disability expenses as well. And then the third benefit, of course, is the tax benefits. So the program currently in the state of Ohio has a $4,000 credit that you can qualify for if you are contributing to any stable account. So even if, as a mother, if you're contributing to your daughter's stable account, even if she's over the age of 18, you would still qualify for those tax benefits as well. Those tax benefits are the same as the 529 College Savings Plan as well in the state of Ohio. So kind of moving away from ABLE, looking at STABLE. STABLE is the National ABLE Plan for Ohio. We launched in 2016. We have account holders in every single state because we were the first, and we were the most used ABLE plan in the country, which is great. We do have a national presence. This is a national program, but the Treasurer's Office is obviously devoted to engagement and outreach to Ohioans. I travel all over the state. And love meeting with families and organizations. So we're proud to be in Ohio, but it is worth mentioning that we are really proud to be a national program as well. This is part of the STABLE team. As I mentioned, we are always on the road, trying to be in person as much as we can. Some of our successes has been through the Board of DDs. Of course, they link us up with school districts, any type of resource events in the community, any organization, any person, any school district, medical facility, organization that is devoting their time and their life and their career to helping those that are disabled. We want to be able to connect with them and let them know about Stabled account. We just surpassed we're almost going to be surpassing 37,000 accounts, which seems like a lot, and it is. It's a huge accomplishment for our program and for so many families. But we are still on the road a lot, and we're engaging with organizations that have never heard of a Stable account. And once they know that this is a program that exists and is so easy to attain, they're very happy about that. So we love to be on the road and engaging with so many families as much as we can, and very thankful to be here tonight as well. Okay, so big piece for eligibility. This is for all ABLE programs across the country. So the first piece is that the individual living with the disability must have had that occur, meaning that you were diagnosed or you were born or the disorder occurred before that person turned 26. That doesn't mean that they have to be below 26 to open the account. It's just that the disability must have occurred before they were 26. That age barrier, if you will, is actually increasing to 46. Doesn't happen until 2026. So that, again, is the same type of amazing legislative work that has been going on over the years to bump that age up. That's going to open the door for a lot of individuals that were not diagnosed until a lot later on in life, those that possibly were injured, especially disabled veterans. So that is a huge win for the ABLE community on a national scale. So we are, as much as 2026 is so far away, we're already thinking about that. Our website does have an eligibility quiz. So if you are not sure that your loved one or yourself would qualify for this type of account, there's a ton of information on our website that talks about the eligibility piece of it as well. And then the second piece is that if that individual is eligible to receive SSI or SSDI due to that disability, we don't require any type of medical documentation. We don't, go through the process of seeing if someone's eligible. It's just those are the two pieces of that. If you are wondering if you are eligible for SSI or SSDI or those means tested benefits, the Social Security Administration website has some great resources on how to apply for those benefits. Obviously, the County Board of DDs as well, they're there as a resource, but there's a list of compassion allowances conditions on their website that would be able to get you in touch with some of those more, some of the questions you might have surrounding the eligibility piece. So those are the two big pieces. You don't necessarily have to be on those benefits to open a Stable account. That's another question we get as well. Obviously, if somebody is on SSI, they're made well aware that they cannot go over that asset limit of $2,000 a month. Of course, if they open a Stable account, they can put extra money into the account and still have their benefits. So if families are, they have a loved one that's living in their house and they're 8 years old and they are eligible to have a Stable account, but they're not on SSI yet, you can still have the Stable account. They might down the road be on SSI. They could be on SSI for the interim or SSDI on an interim or for long term. But just if they're eligible to receive it, they would also be eligible to have a Stable account as well. So our enrollment is done solely on stableaccount.com. The management of the account is also done online as well on our website. We do have a paper process. So there's some families that have expressed interest in wanting to do everything through the paper enrollment, or, we've been in some situations where organizations would prefer to have, it done the paper way, and that's totally fine. We do advocate for the online enrollment because it does take 20 minutes. We're very proud of that. But we do have options for families or individuals who just may not have access to a computer, and they may not really understand the enrollment process that way. You can print the enrollment forms off our website. You can mail those in, and then our vendor would open the account on your behalf. At any time, you can call in our customer service line and get access to your account. You can mail in deposits that way as well. And then there is a $25 minimum opening deposit. It's not a fee, it's just your money. It would be, it would be at least $25, but of course, when you open your account, you can deposit as much as you want to within the contribution limit process. So enrollment can be completed by two different people. If the individual with the disability that is eligible for the account is under the age of 18, they must have an authorized legal representative open the account on their behalf. This is a list of what we consider authorized legal representatives. And then, of course, if somebody's over the age of 18, they can also open the account themselves. There are a lot of cases where the individual with the disability would require an authorized legal representative in the case that they wouldn't be able to manage the account themselves. So in that situation, they would also need an ALR. So this is just kind of a quick list of who could open the account on that person's behalf as well. There's always one beneficiary for each account, though. And then once the account is created, there are a few ways that you can fund the account. So if you have an external checking or savings account, you can transfer money from those accounts directly into the Stable account. You can also mail in a check. And then our third piece is our direct deposit piece. So it says payroll direct deposit, and that's one of our most empowering pieces of it. Obviously, there's a ton of account holders who are currently working, and they can actually tell their employer, I want to have a percentage of my paycheck go right in my Stable account. Also, if I'm a mother and I'm working for the state of Ohio, and my daughter has a Stable account, I can actually tell my employer I'd like a percentage of my paycheck to go right into my daughter's Stable account. So the direct deposit piece is the most efficient way to get funds directly into your account if you're working. A little bit of a new update, though. As of June, we have a direct deposit piece with SSI. So if families are receiving SSI, or if an individual is receiving SSI on a monthly basis, however you receive that SSI, you can actually have it set up to be going directly into your Stable account. So that would be done on your Stable account portal. You would just link your SSI information directly into your Stable account, and your SSI funds would go right into your Stable account. So that's another new feature that we are proud to officially have out there. I know over the years, there's been some questions on if SSI funds can go into a Stable account, and they can. So that is another way that you can also fund your account outside of doing it through your payroll as well. So in 2023, the contribution limits went up a little bit. So if you're not employed, you can contribute up to $17,000 each year from all sources. And all sources means if you're working, if you're taking money from an external checking or savings account, if you're putting your SSI funds in there, basically any source that you would have the funds coming from, that is considered all sources. And then if you are employed, it is $30,590. So it's at $17,000 plus the additional $13,590 that you can contribute. The program has a lifetime balance of $523,000. We have not had anybody reach that yet, but of course that is something to mention just for the program as a whole, especially because that balance is actually the same balance as the 529 college savings plan on a national scale as well. This program, in addition to the 529 college savings plan, is essentially overseen by the IRS. They don't administer the program, of course, but any type of financial institution can be overseen by the IRS. So that is just the contribution limit that they put on the accounts. And then the system will automatically reject any excess contributions. The last slide I have is a picture of like what the portal looks like. And when you sign into your online portal of your Stable account, you can actually see how close you are to that contribution limit. It's kind of like a bar graph. So that's a good way that you can track to make sure that you're not going over the limit as well. And then another feature we have is the gifting page. So the gifting page is a source of funds that would be going into your Stable account. So from all sources, another one of those sources is our gifting page. So let's say that you have a Stable account and grandma is wanting to give you some cash and you're, worried about having to track that and what to do with that. Tell her that she can gift it right into your Stable account through this online portal. It's a great way that you can, obviously have excess funds in the account. It does not count as a resource or income. So that means that if for some reason SSI does want to know how much money is in your Stable account, they want to know how much you're making, and you have $6,000 in your Stable account from grandma, that money is protected. That money is your money to use on qualified disability expenses. It does not count as resource or income. So when you create your Stable account, I mentioned earlier that is a savings and investment account. That was something that was created back in 2014 when ABLE accounts were created. They kind of looked at it as a larger scale. The investment options obviously allow families and individuals to have kind of a second piece of savings. Our website has a ton of information about the investment options and kind of a very transparent report about how those are. But of course, we always say that families and individuals should take their own time to look into the investment options themselves and what works best for their long-term goals. I certainly don't give investment advice, but I will say that about 75% of our account holders have chosen the bank safe option. So that essentially is just a normal savings account option. That allows individuals to just have it all in the savings option. But at any time when you're contributing, you can choose to do the investment options as well. Any returns that come from the investment options do not count towards the annual contributions. So if you do set up a Stable account for your loved one or for yourself, and you are putting money in hitting the contribution on an annual scale each year, any returns from the investment options that you choose would not count towards the contribution limit. So that's just kind of a second way that families can have, even more money in the account for long-term goals as well. And then, of course, the biggest question that we get is, what can you use your funds on? So we use a term that all ABLE programs use across the country, and that is qualified disability expenses. And that essentially means that it must relate to the disability and help maintain or improve health, independence, or quality of life. So when I read that sentence, it's pretty broad, but these are some kind of big icons that we, kind of say that are best used for those Stable account funds. Obviously, housing and rent, basic living expenses, bills, transportation, education, legal fees, really anything that is going to improve your life. The biggest question we get is, can we use it on vacations? Absolutely, you can. If someone's working and putting their Stable account funds, putting their paycheck in their Stable account, you should be able to use your Stable account funds on what is going to make you happy. And vacations make people happy, of course. So we do like to say, though, that because this program is overseen by the IRS, this has never happened in the program's history, but at any time, of course, anyone can be audited. So if for some reason you are subject to an audit and you have to track your expenses, and for some reason one transaction might not be a qualified disability expense, you would be subject to a fee for just that transaction. I will say that, as I mentioned, it has not happened in the program, but there's a lot of ways that you can track your Stable account funds, the money that's going in and the money that is going out. We have a lot of great ways that you can keep track of those expenses. Especially, there's a lot of great organizations in the state of Ohio that, are group home settings, residential services, and they actually manage multiple Stable accounts. So they always have to keep track of the records and, the spending records. So there's ways that our program supports that as well, which we'll talk about. So from the account, you can spend a few different ways. You can transfer any Stable account funds into an external personal checking or savings account. You can pay bills with a third-party physical check. Our vendor would mail you the check and you could spend it on bills that way. And then our third piece is our Visa card. And that is our most, we're very proud of this feature, launched a few years ago. And it is the easiest way for an individual to use their stable account funds once the funds are on the Visa card. So it's a loadable prepaid debit card. It's used anywhere Visa is accepted, which is essentially everywhere. And there's a lot of great protections put in place with the card. So if you have $20,000 in your stable account and you have $1,000 of expenses for the month of November, you can transfer just that amount, even more, right on the Visa card. And then that Visa card can be used online. It can be used in person. It's great also for families because if, you know, their son is living at home and they want to be able to have him have a little bit of independence, they can give him that Visa card and he can use it. And they can still, you know, kind of track things on the back end. You can limit merchants, you can track types of expenses. There is no cash access. There's just a lot of great bells and whistles, but it's a feature that we're really proud of. And it's, as I said, it's the easiest way to use and the quickest way to use your stable account funds. The best part about it, though, is that it's also the easiest way to track your expenses. So as soon as the funds are on the Visa card, they're out of your account. But then once they're used, you can see the line by line item of where those transactions were. Obviously, if you're paying a check, that would be a physical copy of a payment by taking a picture or having a copy of the check. I know people don't use checks anymore, but it's on the slide. But it is a great way that people can use their stable account funds. And then, of course, if you're transferring out of the stable account into another checking or savings account, be mindful of making sure you're tracking those expenses as well. The Visa card also is optional. So as soon as you create your account, when you go to your portal, there's an option where you can sign up for the card and they'll mail you the card. Separate sign in for both the Visa card and the stable account online as well. And then in the state of Ohio, very minimal cost for having the account. It's only $27 per year. There's $6.75 charged the account on a quarterly basis. And then the asset-based fees are listed there as well. There is no cost to open the Visa card either. So the state of Ohio has actually waived those fees, which is great. So that's another great addition to the program as well. So a few SSI considerations to keep note of. Obviously, the Social Security Administration is an agency that is on a federal level. It is not associated with the Ohio Treasurer's Office in any way. Our team over the years has definitely tried to become more educated on some of the information about resources and benefits, especially the external ones that influence our program as a whole. And one thing that we definitely want to make note of is that if you have a balance of over $100,000 in your stable account, SSI could possibly suspend your benefits. They would not terminate them, but they could suspend them until that balance comes down below $100,000. That has actually happened. We do have a few account holders that have surpassed that threshold or at least gotten close to that. Obviously, having your SSI terminated would result in you having to reapply, which would take some time, but would not be terminated. And obviously, if you have $100,000 in your stable account, that is incredible. And that is something that we are hopeful that a lot of individuals and families are going to be able to hit at some point in their time. Even if not hitting that $100,000, just having more than $2,000 in your stable account is incredible. So we're proud to see those balances increase over the years. Something also to consider too is that if you hold on to the money from one calendar month to the next, then housing expenditures count as resources, and then account holders' own wages still count as income even if contributed to an ABLE account. So that the biggest piece is that if you do get close or go over that $100,000 limit, then there could be some things to keep in mind of. And then for Medicaid services, so when individuals are receiving Medicaid from the Ohio Medicaid Agency and they pass away, they would be subject to what they call Medicaid asset recovery. I think I got that right. Essentially, it's the Medicaid payback process. So they look at the individual's time that they were on Medicaid. the services that they were receiving, and then they look at the assets. Stable accounts are considered an asset, but they are protected in some way. So if my daughter passes away and she has a stable account and she had a stable account for 10 years, but she was only receiving Medicaid services for 2 of those years, Medicaid can only look at the services that she was receiving in those 2 years that she was on Medicaid during the time that she had a stable account. So all the contributions that she was making for those 2 years into the stable account, not the 10 years. And there's also a lot of protections put in place as well. You can pay for outstanding bills for qualified disability expenses. You can pay for funeral and burial expenses. You can set up situations and for hospice, like ahead of time, medical expenses. You can take care of what you need to take care of before Medicaid can ask for a payback on the assets that are left in the account. The Ohio Medicaid Agency, they have a lot of information on their website about the asset recovery. We just like to mention it because we get questions on, well, what happens to the money when my loved one passes away? So that's just something to keep in mind for that as well. Obviously, if somebody has a stable account and they've never been on Medicaid, and they don't have to necessarily think about this type of process as well. They have up to a year to make a claim on the case, and is a lengthy process. But in that case, we would notify Medicaid that the stable account holder passed away and that a new individual that would oversee the estate would have to take care of the funds that are left in the account. And then just a quick slide on special needs trust. They're great tools that really go hand in hand with stable accounts. The money that's currently in a special needs trust can make distributions into a stable account, which is great. So if you open a special needs trust with a private guardian, estate, or special needs trust attorney in Ohio, that's obviously done privately, unlimited cash, different rules surrounding that. But in order to use those funds, a little bit of a lengthy process, and I believe it does cost money to be able to work through that. But you can make large contributions or small contributions from the special needs trust right in the stable account, and then you can use those funds quickly, or on different type of expenses. So these are just some comparisons. There's no pros or cons. We've been able to have some great co-presentations with some special needs trust attorneys around the state of Ohio that have really devoted their life to helping families with the long-term planning of their loved one's estate, residential services, and that type of thing. So they're always talking about the benefit of stable account, which we are happy that they're doing that. So definitely worth noting here as well. And then of course, if you want to learn more information about special needs trust or guardianship or estate planning, let me know, because I've been fortunate to meet some great ones around the state of Ohio as well. And then here is a picture of our portal. I think it's changing a little bit, but essentially this is kind of how easy it is to see things big picture. All of our customer service, our website, everything is accessible friendly. If you ever have to get assistance calling into our customer service line, there are options for those that might need assistance on the phone as well. But this is the portal that you would see. So you can see your total account balance as a whole, including all the years you've contributed. You can also just see your 2023 contributions. You can set financial goals for yourself as well. And then there's a little option at the bottom where you can even learn more about the investment options. You can add a gifting page. You can sign up for the prepaid card. So this is where you would sign up with our paid card, and then the card would be mailed directly to you as well. And then, as I mentioned, this is our customer service number. The treasurer's office does not have any direct, we don't have access to account information. So if you ever need assistance with the account itself, or you're on the enrollment process and you're stuck on a page and you need assistance with the account enrollment process, I would suggest calling our customer service line. They're amazing. They help all of our partner states as well. And they're the ones that can really give you the best help with account information as well. I would say more on an Ohio scale, and just with what our outreach is and the advocacy of our program, that's me and a few other folks. So anything that you have questions on that are a little bit more more personal to your family that you may want to share later on, or email me, give me a call. I can help you with the right thing, or even refer you to our customer service line as well. And then our website has everything. Our website has everything that I could not smush in 36 minutes. So I really encourage families to go to our website as well. We are in the process of creating, and we have created some really great new media and communicative pieces advocating for our program. October is Disability Employment Awareness Month, and we just hopefully this week we'll be putting out a great video highlighting some organizations and businesses in the state of Ohio that have employed those that are in the disability community. And the biggest thing that I love to see is account holder testimonials, where people that have an account can really tell their story of how it's changed their life and that they're proud to have the account and what it means to them. So we've been able to connect with some great individuals over the years. But if there's anyone that's watching, or even within the county that would love to share their story with us, shoot me an email, because I'd love to meet you and continue telling that story. So be on the lookout for that on our social media as well. Other than that, I will definitely leave it open for questions if there are any. I just love this program so much. I know that there's so many things out there, but this is one of the best programs in the state of Ohio, and we're so proud to continue the advocacy and helping families learn more about it. So thanks so much for having me here.